Welcome back to Tanya Speedrun, Payek Test, that's chapter 9. And after we learned all about the godly soul and the animal soul, now today we're finally going to find out how they interact. Buckle in because it's not going to be pretty. Here it goes. You have the headquarters of the godly soul in the mind. And you have the headquarters of the animal soul in the heart. How does that play out? That means that the godly soul likes to be intellectual. It likes to think. It likes to be cool-headed, cool as a cucumber. As opposed to the animal soul, it likes to be angry or passionate or enthusiastic or any other flaming, raging, hormonal, exasperant feelings. So, it gets a bit more complicated because the mind, the godly soul, spreads its mindfulness to the emotions. In this, the Kabbalah speaks about the two parts of the heart. The right side of the heart and the left side of the heart. So physically speaking, there are different ventricles in the heart, which means chambers that pump blood. And it's seen in Chassidus that these represent and embody two different types of feelings. Two different types of having a heart. The right side, which is godly feelings, the mind-based feelings, feelings based on intellect. For example, I understand that the right thing is to learn Torah, therefore I'll feel the attraction to loving learning Torah. I understand that I should love my fellow, therefore I'll feel love to my fellow. Then on the other side, the left side of the heart represents the animalistic feelings of the Nefesh Bahamis, the animal soul. I feel selfish. I feel angry. And then you know what happens? The blood is pumped to the mind and influences the mind. You know when someone gets red in the face, they get hot-headed, their blood starts pumping fiercely as they get angry or jealous or upset or passionate? That's because the heart is affecting the mind, which in a deeper sense means what? That their intellect is being pervaded and overcome by the rash and brash feelings of the heart. Now, the battle is on. We have the heart trying to influence the mind, and the mind trying to influence the heart. And there's no middle ground, there's no compromise. You know why? Imagine it's like two kings. That you have one king, the king of the mind and the king of the heart, and each one of them want full control. They're battling over the city, which is the person. And they both want complete control over it. You understand, you can't be a king when someone else is king. There's no such thing. You can have two businessmen who split up the city between them. You can have two janitors who each do keep half the city clean. But to be a king, as long as there's someone else in charge, you're not really in charge. Each of them wants full taking over, just like the two kings. Battling over the city. They want everyone in the city to listen to them. They want to control the entire city. And they want to kick the other guy way out. Same thing, the godly soul and the animal soul. I was once walking past a vending machine in Yeshiva, and there was a friend of mine, Mendel, who was standing there, and you could hear him narrating as he looked at the vending machine. He's like, and in the right side, weighing in at 362 pounds, the Yetzer Tov. And on the left side, weighing in at 412 pounds, the Yetzer Hara. Who will win? In the end, I think he ended up buying the snacks. But anyhow, so we all have this. We all have this epic boxing match inside of us of the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara battling it out. And none of them are ever happy with winning a battle because they both want to win the war. Both of them want to kick the other guy out of the city. This is hinted to in the pasuk that says, Lo'oim Eloim Yematz. It says one nation will prevail over the other. You see, Yaakov and Esav, the twins, which Yaakov, who the Yidden come from, and Esav, who the bad guys come from, they're always at war. One will prevail over the other. It's like a seesaw. Whenever one of them is up, the other is down. Whenever one's down, the other is up. It actually says, I believe in the Gemara, about Rome and Yerushalayim, that always when Rome is built, Yerushalayim will be destroyed. When Yerushalayim is built, Rome will be destroyed. So you always have Rome, who represents the descendants of Esav. So in ourselves, the Yaakov and Esav in ourselves are always battling against each other. And you're never going to have both of them. You're either going to have the good side or the bad side, and they're constantly battling together. Now, let's talk about how this looks on an emotional level, because we could talk about inner battles all day, but how does that play out? So remember, the godly soul, let's look from the godly soul perspective. It's based in the mind, it's intellectual. So how does that work? Let's say you have someone who's using his mind, his chokhmah, bin and das, all parts of his understanding, to sit and he's thinking about the greatness of Hashem. So you have someone here, you have someone like Hillel who's sitting there by davening and is thinking about the greatness of Hashem with his chokhmah and his binah and his das. Then that starts to affect his feelings. The more he thinks about it, the more he concentrates on it, he starts to feel love of Hashem. He starts to feel in awe of Hashem. And then he starts to feel that, it's starting to lead him towards action. The love of Hashem makes him want to do more mitzvahs. I love Hashem so much, I want to connect to Him. And the awe of Hashem is like, oh my gosh, Hashem is so great, I would never do something against what Hashem wants. So what do we see over here? That he's getting towards action. So now the godly soul from its headquarters in the mind has taken over the heart and taken over the action. And it's gotten rid of not only the feelings of the animal soul, it even got rid of the actions of the animal soul. It's levushim, it's garments. So, what does the Nefesh Bahamis want? By the way, this is the ultimate. This is the ultimate. When your love of Hashem is b'chol levavcha. We say in Kriya Shema every day that you should love Hashem your God with all your hearts. What does it mean, all your hearts? You only have one heart, unless you're an octopus. So, it means that you have two parts of your heart, the godly part and the animal part, the right side and the left side. And we should use both of them to love Hashem, because the godly soul doesn't just want to kick out the animal soul, he wants to use it for good purpose. You think your passion, or your feelings, or your anger are problems? They're not problems, they're opportunities. You can allow, through the mind, the godly soul to control these feelings, and you can use your passion towards passion to do a mitzvah. You can use your anger to be angry at your Nefesh Bahamis and at your failings. You can use your, let's say someone has a big drive for money. So maybe they can become a fundraiser for a school. There's all sorts of things. You have things going, you think it's bad? No, it's opportunities. This is loving Hashem with all your hearts, with both parts of your feelings. And this is the ultimate love of Hashem. You see, there's two types of loving Hashem. There's one like fire, which is rising upwards, that you want more, you're burning, you're passionate, you're far away from it and you want it. And then there's one like water, which is Ava B'tei Nugim, a love of delight. That's when you have it. Like water is calm and tranquil. I have Hashem and I'm experiencing Hashem. And that only happens when you pervade both parts of your feelings with the love of Hashem. Now, let's talk about what happens after you take over your feelings. Now you'll want to use your thought, speech, and action. That's called the clothing of the soul, because that's how the soul expresses itself. You can think words of Torah, or you could think about the greatness of Hashem. Then you could use your words to say something nice to your friend, or say some words of learning Torah. Or what other things can you do with your mouth? You can pray with your mouth. That's a mitzvah. And what about with action? With action you can give tzedakah. You can put on tefillin. You can go over to someone else in shul and give him a big handshake and smile at him and make his day. There's so many mitzvahs you could do with each of those. So, yes, it's called Avos Yisrael. It's the most important mitzvah in the Torah. So, that's all the Nefesh Elikis when it takes over. Now, what does the Nefesh Bahamis want? It wants quite the opposite. Now, the Alter Rebbe, interestingly, in this parak, he goes and describes for 2 pages about everything Nefesh Elikis wants to do, and then he says the animal soul wants the opposite. And that's it. He wants the opposite. End of story. He doesn't want to dwell on it. I love it. He wants to look at the positive. So, we're not going to go in as much length, but let's talk just very briefly. The animal soul, where's its headquarters? Do you remember? The heart, right. So, its headquarters in the heart. So, it wants its emotions to go and take over the head. For example, you're driving down the road, and some guy cuts you off, then the feelings of the heart, the rush of blood, come upwards to the mind, and it takes over your thinking, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to ram into this guy. It's going to destroy my bumper in front of my car, and it's going to cost me $3,000. You're not thinking. The emotions took over. Then, after the emotions take over the mind, it can go back to the feelings, and now you're going to allow that thought that's been hijacked by emotions to channel through your feelings to your actions until the point that you think about hitting his car, you start screaming at the guy through your, while rolling down the window, and you actually go and drive into him. So that's what the Nefesh Bahamis wants. Now, here's something incredible. Right at the end of the parak, the Alter Rebbe hints to something from the Zohar, which is life-changing. It says, why does the Nefesh Bahamis want to fight against you so much? We're speaking so much about how we have an animal side inside of us. And everything's made by Hashem. Why would Hashem put such a terrible animal inside of us? And if something's made by Hashem, how can it be so bad? Here's something fascinating. It says in the Zohar, that it's actually for your good. The Nefesh Bahamis wants you to beat it. Wants you to get over it. It wants to lose. And he brings a fascinating example there. The Zohar says that imagine there was once a king. And this king had a precious son. And he gave his son the best education and the best clothes and raised him in the best way. But he decided to think, I want to test my son. I want to see if he's really virtuous, if he's really fitting to take over the crown when I pass on. So he decides, what's the best test I can see if my son is an ethical, upstanding person who puts his beliefs over and above any sort of challenges. So he goes and he hires a harlot, a zoina. And he gives her a mission. He says, I'm paying you good money, and you should know the entire kingdom is relying on you to make sure to give a proper test to my son. Otherwise, we might end up having a king who's not a proper person. You must go and use every trick in the book and every one of your sly and cunning ways to get him to sin with you. So the harlot goes off on her mission. And if she goes unenthusiastically, if she goes and she's like, hey, you want to sin? Please don't sin, actually. It's fine. I have better things to do. Then you're never going to find out if this kid's ready to be a proper king. She has to go with full enthusiasm, full effort, with every trick in the book to try get him to sin. And only then will he be able to overcome the challenge. So she's trying to challenge him to the greatest extent possible, only because she wants him to overcome the challenge. She understands the mission. She wants the kingdom to have a proper upstanding king. She wants him to throw her out and not look at her. So the more effort she's putting in, is the more she wants him to overcome it. And the same thing Nefesh Bahamis. Nefesh Bahamis, Hashem gives us an animal soul. And the animal soul so much wants us to beat it. The animal soul knows, I don't really want you to sin. I don't want you to do the wrong thing. I don't want you to be jealous. I don't want you to be angry. I just want to challenge you. I just want to give you opportunity to overcome me. I just want you to bring out the best of yourself. So maybe we should listen to the animal soul's advice, and maybe we should overcome it and bring out the best of itself. And I just want to say one short story, because we're running out of time, that there was a Yid whose name was Rabbi Lazer de Krumer, which literally means Rabbi Lazer with the limp. And he was an old chassid living in Liadi, and he was a very unique individual that I'll tell you about some other time. But he was an older man, and he once went over to a young married guy. So you know some young guy thinks he knows how life works. So he comes over, he's like, young man, you think that you can do whatever you want now. When you're older, you'll beat your Nefesh Bahamis. You'll beat your animal side. Trust me, don't let him onto the doorstep. Don't let him get 1 foot into the lintel. Don't let him get a foothold on the beaches. Fine, you can't let him in 1 inch. When you let him in 1 little bit, he wants the whole thing. Fine, let's overcome our Nefesh Bahamis.